that. So I would want to, with your permission, my lord, I would like to start with you. Maybe we should look at the legal aspect of this discussion. Um, so to see that how can legal frameworks support family-oriented policies, and in your opinion, what changes are needed to ensure that family rights are protected?
Okay. How will I start from? Well, first and foremost, anyway, thank you for inviting me to this panel. Though at the short notice, and also I haven't listened to the lead speaker. I mean, the lead speaker practically said, yeah, said everything more or less, picked out things bit by bit. Now, going straight to your question, generally under our laws, actually, we have enough laws that actually covers for a lot of things in terms of national policies. The problem we have is the implementation. Implementation is a major factor. In fact, you find out that, for example, I mean, under the child rights law, it talks about how the maintenance, the welfare of a child should be, how a parent is expected to take care of a child. And if you're talking about family, I mean, we both know that, yes, as the lead speaker said, the foundation of any society or the bedrock of any society is the family. And how does the family start from? The family starts from the father, the mother, and the children. Where you have situations in which, at least from the cases that have been coming to court, that you discover that even the parents themselves, they don't even understand. They don't understand what it means to be a parent. You can imagine a man who comes to court and says that, look, I'm only interested in making money. I don't care how it's the responsibility of the wife, my wife, to take care of the children. If she cannot do it, then that's her problem. And you ask, this is somebody who is like, he has 3 children. You ask yourself, where does he get this intonation from? And by the time you now start telling the law that, like, under the law, your child must have the basic necessary education. It must have the basic necessary well-being in a comfortable environment. Failure of you to abide by it, there's actually, there are punishments, or will I say there are actually, what's the word to use now? You get punished for it. For example, under the Child Rights Act, there are some certain aspects that talks about failure of you to ensure that a child goes to school, you will be imprisoned. But the funny thing is that, like I said earlier, society still doesn't understand. Most parents do not understand that we have policies and laws that actually caters for the well-being of each family. If I may put it that way, let me put it that way. But the implementation is a problem. Another example is the corporate organization. Under our labor laws, there are so many things that talks about family orientation. As regards to when a woman is pregnant, when she gives birth, these are things. And in Nigeria, I want to be careful. I don't want to go too much legalistic on it. Nigeria is a member of which ratifies several international labor treaties. And in all these international labor treaties, it caters for issues in which way, if a woman she's entitled to maternity leave, even the husband himself is entitled to certain leave. But you see, unfortunately, most people, or will I say most parents, most companies, organizations are not aware about all this. It's until it gets to a situation where maybe a crime is involved, an offense is in court, they get to court, many of them start seeing all this and they start getting some. Right. So for me, if I'm trying to see how I can, for me personally, with the little experience I have, particularly with my court cases, education, information is a very key important factor. People need to be enlightened about all this. Unfortunately, the Nigerian system now, I don't know, I'm looking for the exact word to use now. The Nigerian system now is, just like the lead speaker said, is not people friendly. The Nigerian system is more or less, an individualistic. We now live in a form of individualistic society whereby it's like every man for himself.
And that.
The previous attribute of living in a community setting, community way of life does not exist again. And that's why you find out that when people are getting married, they are not even conscious of their background. Some of them don't even understand the meaning of culture, having a cultural heritage. And that's why it's so easy that you see a couple getting married today, within the next 1-2 years, they're already heading for divorce. They're going to court to divorce.
It's a pity.
Because even the basics of understanding of what it means to start a family, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you have if I may say, unfortunately, our government is not helping. It's very unfortunate. Even though, the laws are there, but there's no implementation. There's actually no implementation.
Yeah. So, Lord, I was wondering, what are some challenges that families face in accessing justice and support services, and how this can be addressed?
Now, again, for example, in Lagos State, funny enough, you have all these sorts of non-governmental organizations. There are lots. You also have all these various welfare services. But the problem is people are not aware of them.
Okay.
That's the unfortunate aspect of it. In fact, I know that at least Lagos State on it. For Lagos State, I don't know of other states, but I know that for Lagos State, you have like at least about 5 different agencies that deals with family issues. 5. I know you have I'm trying to remember their specific names now. You have the something for child right justice.
Yeah.
You have the wealth. You have a lot. But the problem is that people are not aware of all these things. That's where the problem is. And by the time, and again, unfortunately, when you look at the society again, a man who is looking for his daily bread, daily living, how will he be cautious about all these things? It's all about money. Yes,
Yeah.
because when you look at the cost, if the lead speaker has said it, when you look at the cost of living, it's practically impossible for people to be cautious about certain things. And that's why you see that most children now are abandoned. In fact, I can say this, at least from all the family matters, currently, at least on my docket, I have cases of at least close to almost 200 involving family, divorce, probate, real estate, and things like that. And you find out that out of these 200 cases, about 60% of them is based on what people hear from the social media. That's the cause of the problem.
Pity.
It's what they hear from the social media. Oh, so 2 brothers are fighting. Why are they fighting? They're fighting over property. Oh, somebody has told him that, one wants to kill him. And you ask yourself, these 2 brothers, they grew up together, they live together, they practically live together.
Yeah.
But so when you start probing further, that where do you get the notion that your brother wants to kill you? And next thing, okay, my friends have said it. I read some things. There was a time he posted some things on the internet as if he was trying to attack. Things that are ridiculous, if I use that word.
It is actually.
And because of that fight, the 2 families, brothers from the same parents, even their own children don't talk to each other.
And that. Okay. So, Lord, I was just wondering, can lawyers and the legal profession, I'm not putting it to you, I dare not, but can lawyers and legal professionals advocate for family-friendly policies and laws?
Well, if I may say, you have 2 types of lawyers.
Okay.
There are lawyers that are only interested in their fees.
Okay. I know them.
And you have lawyers that they have principles, they are disciplined. It is easier to get a lawyer that has principles and is disciplined to talk about family-friendly policies, and he will actually come to court to advocate for it. But a lawyer who is only interested in his fees, even when the court is trying to settle, The lawyer is not interested. He's telling his client, don't answer, don't answer, don't listen to the court, don't listen to the court. No, you can do this, you can get this. It's a common thing in the court system. It's just unfortunate. It's really just unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a pity. It's a pity.
And just like the lead speaker said, I think it still goes to believe in a society where every man for himself.
Yeah.
It's what I can get at the end of the day that matters. It's not what is going to benefit the society. And that's why, just like this speaker said, Nigerians are doing well all over outside Nigeria. But once they come to Nigeria, it turns into something different entirely. Entirely. I grew up, I was lucky that I grew up in Opus Dei, remember, right from the time I was young. And one of the things Henry taught me was to be cautious of my culture, that I live in a community, that whatever I do in my action is going to affect the other person. But unfortunately, in our society today, is the exact opposite. Whatever I'm going to do is just for myself. And the government, I expect the government to actually intervene. I'm not interested in intervening. I remember there was a particular time that they were talking about welfare of the child in Lagos State. Now, Lagos State had issues as regards to the number of abandoned children or children that were roaming in the street that were not going to school. You had experts that came all the way from Norway and Sweden, and they were trying to incorporate policies that Lagos State should try and start policies in which they get involved in the educational system. There was a particular framework that they're trying to build. I'm not going to try and criticize or condemn the government, but at the end of the day, the people in government were only interested in money. It was very unfortunate.
The pity.
About 4 judges were involved in that project. At the end of the day, it was all about money for them. For them, it was like, what were they making? How much were they going to get? Something that would benefit the society. For them, it was about money. At the end of the day, the whole thing had to be abandoned.
Wow.
That's part of the problem. It's part of the problem that we have. It's down to the government. But unfortunately, that if you don't start from the core basics of ensuring that a child understands what is good or bad, it's only going to get worse. Social media doesn't help. A child that is growing up, he sees in social media the way people are spraying money, the way people are spending money. He doesn't know how the money comes about. The next thing in his own mind is that he needs to get that money. And it's not only just a child, you need to have some adults as well. You have some people that they start comparing and compare, oh, I'm better than this, I'm better than this. That affects the family.
Terrible. Terrible. All right, before Milord goes to write the next judgment, we'll just say that do you have a comment or a question for Milord? Yes, we take your comments and questions now. Okay. Chidalu, you have to make it very brief, and Milord has the right to either choose to answer or to decline.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Chidalu,
Thank you.
please, let's have your question.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm currently jogging. I'm on the road, so it's a bit noisy. So straight to my question. So talking about laws and policies. Is there a law in Nigeria that frowns against beating of a child? Corporal punishments, or just trying to discipline a child in the family setting and not in the school setting? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chidalu.
Well, funny enough, that question is a two-edged sword in the sense that Nigeria is a society in which you have the principle of you spare the rod and you spoil the child. But then again, yes, you do have laws that does not condone excessive beating. If you are scolding a child and in the process of scolding the child, you hit the child, there is no mark, there is no trauma or it's just a little pain. Yes, I mean, you can get away with it. But a situation where in the process of scolding a child, you leave a mark on the child, or the child falls sick, or the child ends up breaking a bone or anything. Oh, there are a lot of laws against that. There are a lot of laws against that. A lot of laws. Under the Child Right Act, well, for Lagos, the Child Right Law, but generally the Child Right Act for Nigeria as a whole, there are provisions that does not condone, I mean, under the law, we'll call it like assault and things like that, that does not condone it. That you don't beat a child. There are laws for that. There are provisions on that that doesn't support that. But like I said again, this is an African society. I mean, there is no way that a child is not expected to receive some knocks or some small if he misbehave. I mean, my parents. I mean, I was beaten when I was young. I was beaten well when I was young, and at least I grew up to be somebody that was. I mean, I grew up to be where I am today. So if I just say that you want to, and you have to be cautious because in the current, I mean, it's not becoming a general trend. The children of today, will I say that they are more intelligent than when we were as children?
Okay.
They learn very fast. And once the child is able to see that if I do this, what my parents will only do to me is just to say some few words and that is it. You have to be careful. You have some children that there's that tendency that they will just get worse.
Okay.
But definitely, there's no way you beat a child and you leave a mark on the child and you say that's not appropriate. You don't beat a child to leave a mark. You don't beat a child to cause any form of injury. That one, there are laws against that, and definitely the only thing is that again, people don't enforce it because just like in UK, if you beat a child, the welfare has a right to come and take that child from you. You actually also have that in Nigeria,
Oh,
but most
really?
people don't enforce it. Yes, yeah, it's that. Yeah, but people don't enforce it.
That.
Not that they don't enforce it, like I'll say that they are not even aware of it.
Oh, okay.
They are
All
not
right.
even aware of it.
All right. I see many more hands up, but I think they should meet the lawyers to ask those questions so that the lawyers can charge them appropriately. So just a final word for you. Um, any final words? Your final words, Honorable Justice Matthias?
Well, the family is the bedrock of the society, and
Okay.
but unfortunately, I mean, the families we have now is more or less every man for himself. It's just unfortunate. The individual tendency or the individual nature of everybody is so imbibed that even when a child is doing something that is wrong, an adult that is walking by or passing by is expected to correct that child, does not, just ignores it and walks away and sees it as something normal. Because, frankly speaking, I mean, it's somebody that is 10, 15 years old today. Give him 5, 10 years, he's already an adult. And that is that same adult that will wake up tomorrow and says he wants to get married. He's starting a family. If that adult has not been properly trained, there is no way he's going to have a good family. It's something, at least for my cases, is what I've just discovered. There's no way he's going to have a good family, no matter how he tries. Well, except maybe grace of God or he goes through various form of orientation, training, and everything. And what I would like to advise is that we need a lot of training. Family needs a lot of training.
Okay. Okay.
It's very, very critical.
Yeah.
People need to start understand what it means to be a parent.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. All right, thank you very much. We give you time to go and write your next judgment while I.
Apologies, I have to leave now because I
Yes,
said
yes,
that
yes, please.
I
Please.
have
It's noted. It's
I have
noted. It's
another meeting
noted.
by 8 o'clock.
So thank you
So
very much,
apologies.
Honorable Justice
Apologies.
Matthias Oluwole Dawodu, for this time. So you can go ahead and
All
continue
right.
with your
Thank you very much. Thank you
all
very much.
right. So I'll face you now, Leo and Brenda, and there's no hiding place for you as well because this thing of beating children, among others, and well as the other things that have been discussed by Engineer Charles, who says, well, we're going to drill into them. Maybe I would like to start with you, Leonard, to say that we're talking a lot about values, but how do you prioritize family values in your personal and professional lives, and what lessons can others learn from your experience?
All right. Thank you, Charles. Please confirm you can hear me. Just
loud and clear, and we can see you as well.
Great. Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. And thanks for that question. Family values. Maybe I will start from where the lawyer, stopped, which is that the way he said family is the bedrock of the society. Being the bedrock of the society equally, means that certain values are expected, because a strong family value system will ultimately, lead to a strong society as well, and vice versa. Family values, are similar to personal values or work values. But the difference or the distinction would be that here we are talking about the entire family as opposed to individuals or work teams. And of course, they help to establish a value system under which the children, can grow. And even adults, can become better, at what they are doing. Essentially, giving that opportunity for every member of the family to become a better version of themselves. And by so doing, a better family and, of course, a good society, at large. So your specific question, as to how, we have this, how we practice it in my family, and maybe what others can also learn as well.
If you can share, yeah.
Yeah. I would say it's first and foremost, thanks to IWFI, because I've learned a lot, from the various programs, including the marital couples and retreats. I still remember that, pretty much. And then, of course, I also happen to belong to NAFAD as well. But even before then, I was opportunity, to attend, some of their courses. So I would say those external helps, getting to know and even reinforce, some of the things that I already knew, helped to bring about a better family. And we try to practice, those things. And I can talk more, on and on and on about this, but just to keep it simple and straightforward and short, one of the things, that we did is first and foremost, just like you have, in organizations where you have a vision statement and a mission statement, that drives or tries to get everyone, towards achieving, that vision. And then, of course, the values, that set that organization apart, from the others. We also have something, similar, in my family. We have our vision, a family vision, we have a vision statement. We also equally have a mission statement, and we have some certain values, that we all decided, we came together, including the least, of us. Of course, even though she may not express herself, but in some way, she aligns, with that vision. So maybe I would just let my wife take over from there and probably speak a bit, about, that, tell us what the family, vision statement is, the mission, and then, of course, the values, that we have. You want to?
Yeah. Before you want to collaborate, add to that,
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So for me, I also think the family values also inform how you work, as in your values at work. Because if you have a good value system at home, I think you also be able to have a good value system at work. You'll be able to relate with, because at home you have your children, they're all different. We are all different. So if you're able to relate, work together as a family, you'll be able to do the same at work. So for us, we had I had to get my children, all of us, we sat down, we talked about it, everyone brought their own contribution, and we came up with a family vision, which is, okay, I had asked my husband, okay, what's our family? Actually, I didn't even know family could have a vision. He was the one that taught me about that, and also a intentional parenting group that I subscribed to. Also had a lot to do to that, and we all came to an agreement, which is our family vision is to make heaven, and our mission statement is to have a wholehearted devotion and love for God, love, respect to God and others. Anyone that comes into our home must also imbibe that. We appreciate people that comes around, because we notice that most homes, especially house helps, people treat them differently. But our home, we try to, any help that comes to the home is part of the family. You respect that person because the person is also a human being. So that's part of our mission statement. We have family values, which is to love God, to love one another, to stand for the truth, choose to be happy, integrity, positivity, and kindness and service to others, to pray together, very important, and appropriate language. We typically tell them, if you don't have anything positive to say, just keep quiet. So
yeah,
thank you. We'll get back to you. Leo. Now we get to Brenda. Brenda, I think you have a voice. Yeah, that's it. Good. So we're going to see, these would like to know from you, how you balance your work and family responsibilities, and also what support systems do you rely on?
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening. And I mean, like Mr. Leonard and his beautiful wife have just said, it's important to be intentional about raising your children. And for me, how I balance both is, first of all, knowing what my priority is, right? So for me, family is my priority. But I know that I must work. I know that I must also be faithful to my employers, because as a child of God, my work is also worship. So what I do is, family time is family time and work time is work time. And I make sure that when I'm there with the children, I'm actually present, right? So I use a lot of systems and structures that keep helping me to keep everything in place. So I have 4 children and they go to 3 different schools. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of information coming at different times. How do I cope? As soon as I get the calendar from the school, I set alarms in my phone. So I set a reminder in my phone immediately for any of the important dates, parent forums, academic consultation, whatever we need to go to school for. When I set these alarms in my phone, I always set it to have a day before reminder and then an hour before. So even if I'd forgotten completely about it, because I set it 3 months ago, when it's one day to it, I get a reminder and I say, oh, okay, this is coming up. So even if the school didn't send a reminder, I get a reminder. And that's sort of the way that I'm able to, be present at what they do and what they're in school and what they're doing at home, and, just keep abreast of everything that they do. And once I'm there with them, I'm present. Now, what supports do I have? For the longest time, I had my sister living with me, which was like a blessing. Most people are not as lucky, but excuse me, some people have their mothers, some people have their mothers. And I mean, different times I've had my mother-in-law stay with me, I've had my sister stay with me, but those were like the most support systems I ever had. And when they're not, I have house helps. Now, what we try to do is to keep a system that helps you to know what to do. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you. We're drawn into what you're saying. We're envying you that don't have sisters to stay with them.
Okay. I know, right? My sister has left now, and so I now feel what you guys are feeling. It was not funny the first month. I was like, oh dear, where am I going to start from? But it was such a blessing, I tell you. So, but I always say to people that take whatever help you can get. So some people don't have a sister that stay with them. If you have a mother-in-law, use her. Instead of you to look back and say, oh, mother-in-law, they will have problems. Why? My mother-in-law was one of the best blessings in my marriage. When she first came along, she would say, oh, Brenda, you want to go to the market? She loved going to the market. So she would offer to go to the market for me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Why not? Knock yourself out. She's the kind of person that can go to mile 12 for tomatoes, then go to Mushin for crayfish, then go to and I was like, what Are you looking for everywhere? But she truly enjoyed it. So she would go and do all of those things and she'd bring it back for me. I remember when she had to move to the US, she was almost in tears, like, who is going to go to market for you, Brenda? I know you don't like to go to market. How are you going to cope? As in, that is how much support I enjoyed. And so, of course, when she wasn't there, I had my sister, and then now I have to make do with the house helps that I get. So I'm able to just arrange my domestic stuff in a way that they are useful to me. I have a driver, I have a nanny, I have a laundry person that comes and goes. I do have teachers for my children when they're writing external exams, but other times they are writing on their own. I also use very useful systems like the Elara for the girls, Lara Center and the South Creek for the boys, and those have also been very useful. So basically, I'm just saying that have parenting partners around you, have support systems, people that you can trust to stay with your children. Like before I came in to join this class, I went to pick up my son from South Creek. He had been there from after school, and because I know that I'm not home to check his homework, I have somebody that is there in a guided study program. So those are kind of things that you can do to support yourself. So as I'm coming from work, I pick him and we come back home, and we can both relax and play because the work for the day has been done. Do you see? So those are the kind of systems that I put in place that helps me to be, useful at work and useful at home. So that's just what I wanted to share.
So Brenda, I would like to move it a bit from the family space to go to the workplace to say that how can employers and policymakers better support working families, and promote a family-friendly workplace?
I mean, I love that question. And I was always saying, I said to the young ladies who are just getting married now that they don't know how blessed that they are. Because in our time, get married and you're working, there was nothing like work from home or all of that. So you are there, you have a baby today, in 3 months you're back to the office and you are faced with the headache of, where do I keep this newborn baby? How do I get home earlier and all of those things. But nowadays, companies have opened up and they've said to become so crutches. Some companies are having paternity leaves, that allow the father to be at home for a bit and the wife. I mean, I went to Spain and I heard that they get 4 months of mother and father at home together. I thought that was brilliant. Some parts of Europe get a whole year for only the woman, but these ones have both the father and mother together at home, paid maternity and paternity leave. I thought that was really brilliant, and it was something that we should try to imbibe. So what I think that families can, workplaces can do. Number one, allow flexible working policies for new mothers, right? So because one of the biggest challenges I had while I was having my children was maternity. Maternity leaves are too short. I had 3 months, and then because I had challenges in my pregnancy, I would always have to take 1 month before the baby is born. So if they give me only 3 months, by 2 months, I can't leave a 2-month-old baby anywhere. So I always had to take 1 month or 2 more months unpaid, just so that the baby was a little stronger before I leave the child behind. So things like that should be considered by companies, give the woman a flexible working structure. If the baby is still young, let her be able to, come in on some days, work from home on some days, and just so that she can be there for her child a little more. Because really, the more the mothers are away from children, the more the children become, just bad members of the society. So we really do need to, as employers, need to do more to help. I mean, I listened to one woman speak one day, I think it was the MD of P&G, and she said that what she had done in her company was that she had looked through and saw that in the beginning, when they employed people as new staff, they had men and women the same ratio. But by the time they got to middle, like half of the women had fallen behind. Why? Because they had to resign because they were having babies. And so she had to look for ways to, make sure that baby bearing time doesn't mean you leave the company. So they had to put in a lot of things that just made it easier and, more comfortable for women. And that's what I think all companies should be doing. So as much as possible, just look for how you can help the young woman who is having her babies so that she doesn't need to have to choose between one or the other.
Wow.
Especially if you didn't want to.
Interesting. Please, I'm sure you have comments for Brenda. Just get them ready. She's going to tackle all of them. Meanwhile, I would like to come to your household, Leonard, then to ask, how can couples and families balance their professional and personal responsibilities while promoting family well-being,
Yeah, thanks. That's an interesting one because balancing. Well, we keep hearing work-life balance. I think it's been a buzzword, pretty much. But it can be quite challenging, really. Balancing family life, professional life, work life, and any other thing. But yeah, it's just something that has to be done. How can one do it? And I think I'll also share some of the things that I've also done. In fact, as a matter of fact, when I was listening, to Brenda, some things, I said, oh, interesting. These are some things, that I equally, subscribe to. So, for instance, setting clear boundaries, can help. Defining, the hours of work and the hours for family time, and trying as much as possible, to allow one, to creep into the other. Yes, it may not always, happen. You may not always hit the mark, but it has to be done. And then communicate these boundaries, to your employer, to your family members, to your peers, and let them know, and if you communicate this respectfully, more often than not, you get, that you have that understanding, and those boundaries, are respected. And of course, it starts with you, respecting yourself, being disciplined enough, to respect that. Establishing clear priorities is also, something that can help. Focus, on what is important. Quality time, education, health, and then using this, to make decisions, about work, decisions about schedules, decisions about commitments. You can also use tools, you can use technology. Yeah, but the most important thing is, because time, we all have 24 hours in a day. And part of that 24 hours, we're going to spend some time to sleep, because good sleep, also helps, to stay mentally alert and healthy. So prioritizing, focusing on what matters most, helps to make the best use, of that time, so that you can share that time appropriately to with work and with family as well. Be present with the family. So I think Brenda spoke about that. So when you are in family, try to be fully engaged. Put work-related distractions, away, and try to strengthen, those connections. Look for the moments, that allow the family, members to integrate, to share experiences and all. Scheduling family time, and the rest of them. Of course, using technology, like creating a shared calendar where we can use that to schedule family oriented events and activities. Also helps, because at the end of the day, particularly as the society gets more and more complex, the work environment tries to get as much from us as possible, perhaps even beyond what it should. Then what that means is that you just have to look for what works for you. So that time that you have.
I think that's enough session.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not for you.
Oh, okay, all right. And then of course, okay, all right, yeah. So, and then you also have to be flexible, because at times, yeah, we have those daily routine and timetables, and the rest of them. You try to stick to it. You try to plan your weekends and the rest of it. But again, flexibility, also because life can be quite unpredictable. So how do you adjust, when necessary? So for instance, if you are stealing family time today, how do you compensate, for that tomorrow? And vice versa. Of course, you can't still work time anyway. And then, of course, how do you communicate, openly and regularly? Let the family members, even the smallest member of the family, should know and appreciate why daddy or mommy, needs to go to work. Because at times they may just be, the one that's going to work is probably, not there for them. But if they get to understand, that there is a need, and this is bringing about a greater good. And then, of course, that you're not just going to spend, your entire day or weeks, a week. But clearly, they will have that, that you will have that bond and understanding, within the family. Of course, practicing, self-care. You have to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, take care of others. Because if I cannot take care of myself, then how will I be able to take care, you know, of others of my family members as well. We look for how to delegate responsibilities. Everybody, you know, in the family should stay engaged. So, for instance, my boys, I have 3 of them. One is the oldest in the university. The other 2 that are in primary school, I tell them to boys club. And one of the things, you know, the boys club, you know, is trying to get them, you know, to foster and imbibe, you know, the right attitudes, character, values, you know, and all. And there's a point system. So when they do chores at home, they get a point, you know, when they get to the club. Oh, so really? That also helps, you know, to make them even want to, you know, do those things, knowing fully well that if they don't do it, they're going to lose points as well. So somehow it helps. Yeah, absolutely. Boys are the boys. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so everyone, you know, stays engaged, and I try to lead by example. I don't shy away, you know, from doing things in the kitchen, you know, sweeping the floor and the rest. So they see me do these things, and of course, you know, it's not like, okay, daddy said you should do it, and then daddy folds his hands and then maybe throw up his legs, you know, and stuff like that. And then of course we reflect, you know, and just as time goes on, and then also something that Brenda said earlier: seek support when support is needed. If you have, you know, if you have the presence, you know, of the extended family members, friends, even professionals, you know, like counselors, coaches. I mean, nothing says that you cannot take some of these, you know, to go and discuss. Yeah, you all face challenges, but having the, you know, that open conversation, you know, could help the family, the individual, and by extension, you know, the family to help, you know, to manage that and better.
Yeah, no, I'll get to Foro. You know, she's a lady, and when they say, you know, train a lady, train a woman, you train a nation. So I'm just wondering, you know, and what role do you think that families play in shaping societal values and promoting a sustainable development?
Okay. If you train okay, for instance, if you train a boy to take care of his or her family and to look out for his or her siblings,
okay,
and he grows up, he will do the same wherever he or she is. For instance, typical example, my son right now is at PAU. So when he got back home, he was like, "Mommy, I never knew, I never expected I was going to get that, because I thought Mom is very tough and all of that." He told me, "Mommy, thank you very much for all the punishments and all the good things you've been doing." I say, I'm glad, but what happened?" He said, "Mommy, that when he sits back at school, that glad he came from where he's from, and he's also able to help out, you know, help other boys and tell them, you know, about our values, and some of them are imbibing it." Then my daughter, when I got to her school, immediately they saw me, they're like, "Oh wow, thank you very much. Caritas is friendly. She's like a mother. She takes." In fact, that was the word they kept using. That she's always taking care of other people, and she's very, you know, nice, always saying thank you all the time. I said, "Oh, I'm glad that is happening." So sometimes it might feel as if maybe we are talking and nothing, no result is coming out, but certainly they're getting these things, and they go out there and they're better boys. We don't have boys who are bullies and all aggressive, and we don't have girls who are, you know, we know what's happening now, and all the girls, you know, showing off themselves and all of that, you know. So I think if we have value systems, good value systems at home, they go out there to be better husbands, better wives, better teachers, etc.
Wow, to see that the good wives we are looking for is really being groomed in families. Thank you for doing a good job. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's dinner time, so can we have your comments and your questions for Brenda as well as the Edets? Your questions, your comments. You can just indicate by raising up your hand. Yeah, Chidalu, are you still working out? Okay, let's hear from you quickly.
Hello, sir. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Yes, I'm just 2 minutes to my house. Yes.
We'll finish
So
before you
I
get there.
have a. I can see my house from here. All right. Thank you so much. So I have a question for Mrs. Brenda.
Okay.
So Mrs. Brenda, do you sometimes feel guilty that you are delegating your responsibilities to your support staff? Let me just give a little bit of background or history. So I could relate to what you also went through in your childbearing stage. I have 4 kids as well. So it was just my first child that I stayed home for her. The second, third, and fourth, I had to resign 3 times from 3 different places, different organizations. And the last one being 2019. Yes, he was yeah, he was born in 2019. So I had to, resign like 2020 or so thereabout, and then I started my own business. So back to my question. Sometimes I feel guilty that okay, the driver is taking the kids to school, or that the lesson teacher comes and starts doing, homework, or the nanny is just playing with them because I am exhausted. Now, I just started my master's program. I can see a familiar face, Mr. Charles, Lagos Business School. You know how intensive it is in school, and having to also run a business and also cater for 4 individuals or 4 kids. Sometimes I feel guilty that I don't go and pick them all the time. Not every time, but sometimes I try to pick them, even if it's once or twice a week. Assignments, I have lesson teachers. Sometimes I feel guilty that I'm not spending enough time with them. And then one of them told me a few days ago, and then she said, "Mommy, why did you sign up for Lagos Business School? Because you don't have time for us anymore. And you used to have little time, but right now you're just very, very stressed out, overwhelmed and all of that." So sometimes I feel guilty when I
Okay.
see some mothers going, school run and everything. They're just with their kids. Maybe they have football, this thing practice,
Okay.
or swimming, or just something. They're always fully present.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just feel bad,
Yeah.
about it. So how do you cope sometimes when you, delegate responsibilities like this to your
Yeah.
staff? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, Brenda. Yeah. Very briefly,
Thank you. Thank you, Chimdalu. How are you doing? I know Chimdalu, she's her daughter, children go to my children's school. So this is a very good question. And I would say, first of all, that you should give yourself grace, right? And number one, we are all in different seasons of life. When you see somebody who is fully present and you cannot be fully present at that time, give yourself grace. It is a particular season, it will pass. This masters will not be forever. And once you're done with it, it helps you to get into some other level. I mean, you ask yourself, why are you doing masters? It's not just because you were less busy, right? You needed it to go to some other level for whatever reason. You had a why. So whenever you feel stressed or you feel like, oh, I'm losing out on this, remind yourself on what is the why. And that will help you to propel through it. How do I feel guilty? I honestly try not to feel guilty. Like I said, I'm the master of giving myself grace. I was born and raised by a career mother. And nobody was more present than my mother. She was present in every way that was possible. So my mother would leave the house before 7 a.m. in the morning. But before that time, our food would be ready and packed. And so it was our dad that used to take us to school. My mother never got to our school in primary school. They didn't know her in my primary school. She was never there because she would leave the house before 7. My daddy would take us to school, but she had our meals ready before that time. And then she would close at 4 on the dot and start to head back home. So by 5, she was back in the house, even though my father would come back much later. But she made herself available in the way that she could. We understood that she couldn't be there in the morning to take us to school. And that wasn't a problem because when she was back in the evening, we were seeing her in daytime before, my dad came. So you give yourself the grace. What if I can work? You will look at it in your family. If you're not available, can the father be available? Whoever is a bit available should just be there for the children. Children require more presence than presence. But what is that we often think that they require too much time. No, they don't require all the time. What they require is quality time. So the time that you have, make it work, right? If you find that it is only 15 minutes a day you can spare, make sure you're fully present in that 15 minutes and make sure it is consistent. A consistent 15 minutes every day is more useful to the child than a woman that sits at home for 7 hours and is either watching Netflix or shouting herself hoarse all day. So make the time that you have possible. If you have the chance to drive to school, the day you can drive to school, use that time well. Converse to them on the way. If you cannot drive, what I personally do is that I take my children to school in the mornings because I use that morning drive to have conversations, right? I can't afford to pick them in the afternoon because that's smack in the middle of my work day. The driver and the nanny takes them back home, and I have no problem with that. I've made my peace with that. I can't do it all, right? So but the one I can do, which is in the morning on my way to work, we do it, and as we go, we pray, we talk, we have conversations. I would have loved to pick them in the afternoon, but I can't. So I work from home twice a week. Now, another thing that I do is to make sure that I take family-oriented jobs. I've never worked in a bank because I just knew that I could not. I needed to work in a structure that was, flexible enough for me because I know that family is important to me. So where I work right now, I work 2 days from home. So today is one of those days that I work from home. What do I do? On those days I work from home, I do the school run myself, morning and afternoon. So on those 2 days, I'm able to pick them. Today, I picked from school and we had long talk. All my ear was full. I said, hey, it is good. No problem. Once in a while, we do it. You see, but give yourself grace and do what you can. Make use of what you can. Use structures and systems and everything to just give them the best quality that you can in the time that you can. And trust me, your children can see, they can know. So when you have a child telling you that, yes, I believe there are probably banks that are family oriented, but my eye is on the Nigerian banks. These are our Nigerian banks that will drive you like slave drivers. I just knew that I could never work there. I did hear that was this Standard Chartered, one of these foreign banks actually sent their staff home by 5. I mean, that's amazing and very, very nice. But we don't see that in Nigerian banks. So that was what made me just say I could never work in a bank. Okay. So apologies to anybody who works better, but that's how I do it. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brenda. More questions and comments because it's dinner time now. All right, while we're trying to get the final question, I would have to ask Leo for his final words and then Uforo to also give us final words as well. Then Brenda, don't go away. You have to also give us your final words as well. So start with Leonard.
Okay, all right, thanks. Again, family, we need to understand, the concept of family and how family values has varied over time. I think Engineer Sozo has said so much about that, so there's no point, overflowing, that. But we have to be quite intentional, about raising our families. We have to understand and appreciate, the fact that each individual is different, is unique. So also families as well. So what may work, for one may not necessarily, work for the other. So you want to first have a good understanding, of what works best. Even though there are foundational values, foundational tips, that cuts across, I think that should work, across all families. But it's always good to invest, time, try to understand, make that move, to try and find out what works. I mean, don't be afraid, to try out something new. And I think that's essentially, what we've done. As a family, of course, we started, with just my wife and I, and then now we are a family of 7. As each child, came clearly, I mean, we knew that we were seeing the changes. But right now, I thought you might probably be hearing, some noise in the background. Yeah, those are them that have been knocking on the door, not understanding, why daddy and mommy, should be, attending to them. Yeah. So we understand these things, and then Yeah, so it's and invest in resources. Again, as I said, IWFI, many thanks to you. I've attended, your programs or webinars, and I've also learned a lot, from that. Same with NAFAD and IFFD as well. And so yeah, so anything for family, I'm in for it.
Thank you very much. For your final words. That will change our lives forever.
For me, time is love for family. As much as you can spend quality time with them, or else either their iPads or whatever will be spending time with them and their friends, and create time to listen as much as you can, and also take care of yourself. The lady that was speaking, if you can't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of them. It is very, very important to take care of yourself first, so you're able to take care of others.
Wow, thank you. Brenda, something architectural we want to hear?
Architectural, really? Okay, well, if you say so, I'll put that way. For me, my final words would be that as an architect, foundation is very important for every building. So I'd say that build your family on the foundation of God. In this day, there's no way to parent without God's help. There's no way to parent properly or even do anything and build a proper family without God as the central cord. So I would say that in everything that we do, and must remember to put God at the center. I actually ask for help from the Holy Spirit on the go. Like I may be leaving the house and I'm rushing and I'm running late, and I say, Holy Spirit, I need help. I need to find the fastest possible way. As in, without Google Map, I will just know the right place to go. So for me, it's everything. My children see me pray. They know that I call them to pray. They pray. They know that God is the center of everything that I do. And so that is the foundation which our family is built. And we know that with God, with us, we can't fail. So whatever life throws at us, whatever it is that we have to go through, we have to juggle work, juggle school, juggle everything else. With God at the center, we can never fail. So that for me is my final words. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Chizoba had a question, but the answer have been provided by the final words that have been rolling out non-stop from the panelists. So once again, I want to thank you especially for your time, for sharing your wealth of experience with us. You are indeed enriching lives, not just those here present, but actually those that are going to watch this video, because we are going to promote it, and then you're going to have a ripple effect. You'll be creating better families, and with healthy families, we'll be creating a better society, and then we'll be having a better world. So once again, thank you very much for your time. And for those of you here present, thank you. I can assure you that you have been at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. So remain the Institute for Work and Family Integration. I am Charles Aikwana, the Executive Secretary. Have a nice dinner and a pleasant night rest. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
All right, thank you, and good night, everyone.
Good night.